CPS wants to do a biopsychological on me today at 12 o'clock for my mental health. And that's what I'm gonna have to do today. In 1 hour, I have somebody coming here from CPS who's in the mental whatever, who has to do a deep exam on me psychologically, voluntarily. If I do this exam with CPS, I will clear my name. And that's exactly what I wanna do here. I have a psychiatrist, I'm on Lexapro. I'm doing way better than I did months ago. So I told CPS I want her to come in, I want her to talk to me.
Gabby. You need to get off the app!
And seek help.
Get off this app! Get off of it! Now! Now, Gabby, because I promise you... Gabby... Oh. Gabby, I'm gonna tell you something. You don't know what it's like living on your own. You have no idea. Why do you need TikTok? You have a beautiful home.
Yes, girl mom.
Beautiful son. You have a fiance. Why do you need TikTok? Huh? What do you get out of it, Gabby? Me? Nothing until you go get help, until you seek medical help, until you talk to a psychiatrist, a therapist, and get your shit together and go to parenting classes, and you and Aaron,
yeah, I showed it to her,
Stephanie. Relationship, you can cast me the hell out of your life. Cast me good.
Gabby Jacobson's claiming the CPS case is closed. She's also saying she needs respite care for Cam because she needs a break from being a mom. Gabby, respite care is mandated to report. Just thought you should know. Why is she trying to pawn her son off while attempting to have more children? Like she is willing to send her 4-year-old off to strangers. And why is this the only service she's looking into? What about speech therapy? It is obvious that she does not take her meds correctly. You can tell by her behavior. And I'm sure DCFS sees this as a big red flag. There is no way this case is closed.
CPS didn't just knock. They stormed in. And the moment they did, everything about TikTok mom Gabby Jacobson's chaotic online life came crashing down. This isn't just some petty drama or internet beef. This is a real story about a real child named Cameron, a 4-year-old boy who's been dragged through the mud while his mother spends nearly every waking hour on TikTok lives. And the saddest part? He is not just part of her background. He has become part of her content. Cameron has now been sent to a child abuse evaluations clinic multiple times. And Gabby? She's still online, still live streaming, still blaming everyone else for the fallout. This isn't a story about cancel culture or trolls. It's about a child who needs help and a mother who refuses to log off long enough to give it. Let's break it down. Gabby Jacobson currently lives in Florida with her husband Aaron and their 4-year-old son Cameron. She also has a twin sister named Dani. Together, Gabby and Dani were once known as the drama twins on social media for constantly being caught in online fights, fundraising scandals, and TikTok theatrics. But this story isn't about both sisters. It's solely focused on Gabby and her deeply troubling approach to parenting while under the public eye. During one of her many TikTok lives, where she often spends hours ranting, defending herself, or simply oversharing, Gabby dropped what should have been shocking news in the most casual way. She was taking Cameron back to a child abuse clinic, not for a first evaluation, not for a second. This was the 6th time. 6 different visits, same clinic, same reason. This wasn't a regular pediatric appointment. It wasn't a checkup. These child abuse clinics are specifically built for children who may be enduring trauma, neglect, or abuse. They are trauma-informed centers where licensed professionals interview, evaluate, and observe children in sensitive ways to determine if there are signs of mistreatment. And yet, Gabby tried to play it off. She said she was going voluntarily. She insisted that no one had forced her, that her willingness to cooperate should be enough proof that she's a great mom. But here's where it doesn't make sense. Why would any parent voluntarily bring their child to the same abuse clinic 6 times unless they were under investigation? Why would a mother claim that there's no CPS case open when the exact kind of repeated visits she's making only happen in ongoing investigations? She told her audience that she does it just to get it over with. But the truth is, she doesn't have much of a choice. Refusing to comply with repeated clinic evaluations could easily result in a court order or even loss of custody. So, the voluntary part? That's misleading. It's more like preemptive damage control. What's more disturbing is how she uses these repeated visits to prove how great of a parent she is. On live, she said, "If I wasn't a good mom, my son wouldn't still be with me after 4 years."
Tomorrow, I also got at 9 o'clock in the morning, I gotta take Cameron to the abuse clinic tomorrow, based on these people. The same abuse clinic that he went to 5 times already, for the same accusations. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. But the thing is that DCFS, so Tallahassee is the headquarters of CPS, DCFS, whatever, right? So with the hotlines, Tallahassee needs to step in, okay? Because with the hotlines, they can't stop it. And that's why Tallahassee needs to investigate and stop the calls. So do I have to do this? No. Do I want to pay for a lawyer and fight with CPS and the system? No. So I'm just doing all this voluntarily. Why? Because I know in my heart I'm a good mom. 4 years, my son's still with me, never an open case. It speaks volumes than ever. One day, this is all gonna stop. And the thing is that why I'm taking him enough, it's because people, these bullies, they sit and talk on a live, and new people come in, and new people are listening to the same conversation that they've said multiple times. And these people that are coming in to listen, they don't know the truth. They don't know that I already took Cameron to the abuse clinic for this reason. And so what do? CPS, yep, sexual abuse, yep, we just listened to somebody on a live talking about it. And I just took my son to that abuse clinic a month ago. Now I have to do it again because their goal is to get Cameron taken away. So they keep on talking about it, which means that people don't know what's going on. They're new, they're listening to this. They think that, has anyone done anything? Oh, we got a call. Then they call the hotlines. Then DCFS investigates because they don't know. It could be multiple times with the sexual abuse. They still have to investigate. Tallahassee needs to step in. They're the only ones that can step in, and the police at this point. DCFS can't do nothing about it. They have to investigate, because if they don't investigate, then if something does happen, the state is on hands.
As if the absence of immediate removal equals proof of excellent parenting. But what Gabby fails to understand, or perhaps refuses to accept, is that CPS doesn't act on whim. They collect evidence, they observe patterns, and requiring a child to go through 6 separate evaluations shows that there is a serious concern. Even her own viewers noticed the contradiction. If nothing was wrong, why do these reports keep coming in? Why are the professionals still involved? Why is Cameron still under a magnifying glass? To make matters even clearer, Gabby also receives government food assistance. These benefits are often coordinated through CPS when children are involved, especially during active investigations. So while she loudly insists there is no open case, every piece of her situation points to the opposite. Whether Gabby realizes it or not, every time she logs onto live and overshares this information, she is not proving how great of a mom she is. She's painting a very alarming picture. And if 6 visits to a child abuse clinic still aren't enough to make her pause and reevaluate, then maybe it's time someone else does. She blames the internet. Instead of taking any accountability for what was clearly escalating, Gabby turned her attention and her frustration toward the people watching her. During her live streams, she lashed out at viewers, calling them bullies, trolls, and haters. She accused them of ruining her life, of being obsessed with her, and of targeting her just for being a mom on social media. In her words, the only reason CPS kept showing up at her door was because these strangers on the internet kept calling in fake reports. She said they didn't know what they were talking about, that they took the things out of context, that they twisted her words, that they were just out to see her fail.
Nope, I don't care. The thing is,
That's none of my business.
point proven. You can't sit there, you can't say any of this more bullshit. You guys, the truth is gonna come out, and you know what?
I'm telling you, all of my mamas, all of my supporters that have been watching me from the get, they're about to come out and they're probably gonna freaking come at most of y'all. I'm serious. Because I'm telling you right now, my supporters, they're fucking pissed. They are fucking pissed. No! No, this is not a fucking game. You are making something that is turning into sexual.
Sees that you really care about her, and maybe she'll listen to you.
I have more than fucking two supporters. I have more than fucking two supporters that they are behind the scenes in all of this. They might not comment in my lives because they're afraid of all of you fuckers, but I'm not. And I will stand until the day I die, and to prove all of you fuckers what you're doing to my damn family, my son, my mom, Aaron, my supporters, my mods.
It's just a few weeks.
It's not funny.
Alright, that was gonna pop by for a weekend. Can't wait to see you do your thing up there. No, I mean, I want the whole tour.
Do you want to say something about this?
With the whole family over everything. Seriously? Okay, you sure about this? Yeah, I'm sure, girl. As long as you go on these cool trips.
Doesn't matter what I fucking say because they're gonna continue doing the bullshit that they're doing.
But I don't know, I just don't want to take this on life.
But here's the part that she keeps ignoring. She's the one live streaming constantly. She's the one sharing everything unfiltered, uncensored, and unedited. Every personal detail, every parenting decision, every outburst, every fight with her husband, it's all out there for the world to see. This isn't about people trying to destroy her. This isn't about people reacting to what she openly broadcasts. When someone goes live for 12 hours, sometimes even 16 hours a day, and invites the public to their home, it becomes impossible to hide what's really happening. And what people have seen is more than just messy parenting. They have seen things that deeply disturb them. Like the time viewers spotted what looked like fresh bruises shaped like fingers on Cameron's small arm. They weren't big. They were visible right there on the live stream. Instead of acknowledging them, Gabby either ignored them completely or gave vague, dismissive explanations that didn't make sense. She acts as if these calls to CPS come out of nowhere, as if they are acts of malice. But many of the reports are coming from real people who are genuinely concerned for the safety and emotional health of her son. People who have seen enough red flags to warrant action. And if this recent trip to the clinic is truly happening, as she claims, then hopefully the professionals on the case will spot the same signs viewers have been seeing for months, because what's being ignored on TikTok might be impossible to ignore in person. This isn't bullying. It's people trying to protect a child when his mother keeps failing to. A trail of reports from Illinois to Florida. Before moving to Florida, Gabby lived in Illinois, and her issues didn't start in the Sunshine State. In fact, the controversies and accusations followed her long before she ever crossed. Gabby once worked as a gymnastics coach for young children, a job that requires trust, discipline, and a high level of ethical responsibility. But things went downhill fast. Someone reported her for allegedly recording children during practice. An accusation like that, if true, could have had serious legal and ethical consequences. Gabby insists she was innocent and that the accusations were unfounded. She says the investigation cleared her. She was even offered her job back once the dust settled. But by then, she says it was too late. The damage to her reputation was done. She claimed the situation embarrassed her so much that she decided not to return to the job, saying she didn't feel safe or welcome there anymore. This was the start of a pattern. Gabby getting into controversies, denying responsibilities, and then retreating without truly addressing the root of the issue. Things only escalated from there. In another instance, Gabby said she was accused of injecting illegal substances. According to her, people were spreading rumors that she was using drugs and shooting up, so much so that she felt compelled to call the police on herself. She claims she asked to be physically examined in order to prove she didn't have any needle marks or signs of drug use on her body. It didn't stop there. Gabby said she was even targeted while traveling. She claimed that during one trip, people called the airport to report she had illegal substances after she checked into a hotel. She says the staff has tipped off with similar claims, leading to even more uncomfortable interactions. And when she finally moved to Florida, hoping for a fresh start, she says the reports followed her. On her very first night in Florida, Gabby said there was a knock on her door. Local police had shown up after receiving a tip that she was using drugs. Once again, she claimed she cooperated fully and passed all tests. But at this point, a clear pattern had formed. Wherever Gabby went, the accusations followed. Gabby blames these reports on her so-called online book. But when people online know exactly which airport you're at, which hotel you are staying in, and even your new address the day you move in, it's not magic, it's exposure. And Gabby is the one handing out that information like candy on Halloween. She live streams constantly. She tells her viewers where she's going, when she's going there, what room she's in, and who she's with. Then she turns around and acts stunned when strangers show up in her business. If Gabby had learned from her past mistakes, maybe things would be different. But instead of keeping private matters private, she broadcasts them to the world and then plays the victim when people serial analyzer comment. Things took an even darker and more disturbing turn when Gabby openly admitted something shocking during one of her live streams. She shared a story about when Cameron was just a baby, still barely learning to talk, and how he displayed typical toddler behaviors like biting, scratching, and having emotional outbursts. But instead of treating it as a common developmental phase or even reaching out for help from a pediatrician or child behavior specialist, Gabby decided to go live and call her own son a serial analyst. Those exact words, publicly, on TikTok, where thousands of people could hear and record it. She said it was a conversation with her mother, not realizing the gravity of her words or the damage it could do to her son's image and emotional safety. There was no hesitation, no filtering, and no regard for how dangerous that label was, even as a joke. But the thing is, it wasn't a joke. She sounded serious. She wasn't a mom venting in private. She was a mother going live to the world and labeling her own toddler something associated with the worst kinds of violence. Later on, once the backlash came pouring in, Gabby backtracked. She claimed she didn't mean it, that she was just overwhelmed, that she was a first-time mom who didn't understand what was normal and what wasn't for a child that young. She tried to excuse it by saying she was under pressure and she didn't know any better at the time. But being a first-time mom doesn't excuse calling your baby something so violent and damaging. It doesn't justify putting that kind of language into the world about your own child. And it definitely doesn't make it okay to say it publicly, especially on a platform where your words live forever. Eventually, she admitted that what she said was wrong. She acknowledged it was a mistake and claimed she regretted it. But even in her apology, she couldn't help but shift the blame. Again, she pointed to her son's supposed autism, using it as a shield to justify her reaction to his behavior, as if that label could somehow erase what she said or the hurt it may have caused. But here's the thing, many moms raise kids with behavior challenges or special needs, and they don't go online calling their kids monsters. But they ask for advice, they try to understand. What they don't do is slap horrific labels on toddlers and broadcast it to the world as content. Gabby's words were more than a slip-up. They were a glimpse into how she truly views her son during his most vulnerable moments. And even now, she doesn't seem to fully understand the weight of what she said or how it continues to shape public concern over how she treats Cameron off camera. Screens, language, and no filters. Let's talk about Cameron's screen time, because it's not just about watching cartoons. It's about a complete lack of supervision. Gabby gave her 4-year-old son an iPad with 0 parental controls, no restrictions, and absolutely no filtering. No child lookup apps, no time limits, no blocked websites, just full access to the internet and streaming platforms as if he were an adult. And it didn't take long for the consequences to start showing. Viewers on Gabby's live noticed that Cameron had begun repeating disturbing words and phrases like die and other violent language. These weren't just one-time slips. They were consistent patterns, things he had clearly picked up from the content he was consuming. What makes this even worse is how Gabby handled it, or rather, didn't handle it. It was only after her audience pointed it out many times on multiple live streams that she finally said she would consider monitoring what he was watching. But that raises a serious question. Why did it take the internet yelling at her for her to take a basic step any parent should be doing from day one? A child that young should never have access to dark, violent, or inappropriate media. The fact that Cameron does, and that his behavior has been shaped by it, is a direct result of Gabby's negligence. And of course, she defaulted to her usual explanation, saying she didn't know any better because she's raising an autistic child. She constantly uses this as a shield, as a way to justify every oversight and every moment of neglect. But here's what doesn't add up. Gabby has shown proof of CPS paperwork in the past. She once proudly shared her permission letter to move states, using it as evidence that she had an open case in Illinois. She even went out of her way to hold up on camera for everyone to see. Yet, despite constantly referencing her son's autism, she's never once shown documentation of his diagnosis. No paperwork, no doctor's note, nothing. And that's not to say a parent must prove their child's condition to the public, but when you use it as the main justification for repeated mistakes, questions are going to be asked. If Cameron truly does have autism, he deserves special care, proper support, and resources tailored to his needs. Giving him an unsupervised iPad and calling it a day is not parenting. It's avoidance. And when it starts shaping the way he speaks, acts, and interacts with the world, it becomes clear just how dangerous that avoidance is. This isn't about screens, it's about priorities, and Gabby's priorities, once again, seem to favor her own convenience and online presence over her child's well-being. Contradictions in her story. In one moment, Gabby said CPS didn't tell her where the clinic was. She claimed she was left completely in the dark, not knowing where to go or how to proceed. But then, not even a few minutes later, she casually said it would be her son's time visiting that exact same clinic. That's 5. So how does someone forget the name or location of the clinic they have been to 5 times? And not just any clinic, a child abuse evaluation center. These visits aren't forgettable. They're emotionally loaded, high-stakes appointments where professionals assess whether a child is safe and cared for. It's a kind of thing that would stick in any parent's mind. This inconsistency wasn't just a harmless mistake. It revealed how easily and often Gabby contradicts herself, sometimes in the same breath. Her narratives shift depending on what suits her argument in the moment. She wants to come off as overwhelmed and uninformed when it nags sympathy, but also in control and cooperative when it makes her look like a responsible mom. But she can't be both. You can't claim you don't know where you're going, while also saying you've been there half a dozen times. And this isn't the first time she's been caught in a lie. Her stories keep changing. Her timeline never adds up, and every new contradiction makes it harder and harder to take anything she says seriously. When someone lies this often, and this obviously, it casts doubt on everything else they claim, including how they treat and care for their child. Disturbing talk in front of Cameron. In another life, Gabby and her husband, Aaron, were talking about vaginal discharge. On camera, with their toddler present, Aaron bluntly said it was "come." Gabby laughed. She didn't pause or stop the live. She just kept going. She defended it by saying she was being open. But this wasn't openness. It was wildly inappropriate. A CPS visit about CPS visited their home about a horrifying incident. Cameron had reportedly walked in on them having sex. Even worse, the child allegedly asked what had come out of his father. That kind of question from a 4-year-old is horrifying because it implies he's not only witnessed something disturbing, but that he understood enough to ask it in specific terms. Gabby initially tried to downplay it. She claimed she didn't know he knew what had happened, and insisted the whole thing was being exaggerated by people online just trying to make her look bad. But her own words soon exposed her. In a later part of her stream, Gabby casually admitted that yes, it did happen. She said Aaron had continued while their son was awake, that they both assumed the boy had fallen back. She admitted that they had him cry, but went ahead anyway, brushing it off as if it was just a small interruption in their night. And then, to make matters worse, Gabby laughed. She laughed as she told the story, as if it were just another quirky anecdote to share with strangers on the internet. There was no sign of shame, no pause to reflect on how damaging that experience might be for her son, no moment of remorse. Her laughter wasn't nervous, it was casual, and that casualness is what made it all disturbing. Because a child witnessing something that intimate and inappropriate isn't just a funny memory, drama, and Gabby treated it like it was content. This wasn't a one-time mistake. It was a complete failure to understand what healthy boundaries look like as a parent. It was a moment that revealed how unfit Gabby is to shield her son from the emotional harm her actions are causing. It's not funny, it's deeply upsetting. This is something a child should never witness. Cameron has also been seen mistreating their dogs on multiple occasions, which is both heartbreaking and deeply concerning. In one particularly alarming video, he was shown repeatedly shoving their dog, Pepper, with visible force while Gabby sat just feet away. But instead of stepping in, Gabby bizarrely turned to her livestream audience and asked the judge what her son was doing, essentially asking strangers on the internet to monitor her child for her, rather than being a present parent in the moment. What makes it worse is that Cameron was not being sneaky. He wasn't hiding it. He said it loud. He told her he was pushing the dog. His words were clear. He was right there narrating his actions, and yet Gabby still acted like she had no idea what was happening. This isn't just a parenting lapse. It's a pattern of detachment. This isn't about autism. This is about a child who hasn't been taught basic empathy, boundaries, or how to treat even living beings with care and respect. He's not learning kindness or emotional regulation because no one is modeling it for him. He's responding in the only way he knows, with frustration, aggression, and the kind of behavior that signals a child trying desperately to get attention or release emotional tension. And rather than teaching him better, Gabby just watches, or worse, ignores him altogether. If this behavior continues unchecked, it could escalate. And if Cameron ends up seriously harming a pet or getting harmed himself by an animal that reacts, it won't be because he's a bad kid. It will be because the adult in his life failed him by not teaching him any better. And that responsibility starts and ends with Gabby, a child who doesn't want his mom. There was one heartbreaking moment that stood out, and it wasn't just a passing scene. It was a reflection of everything this child has been going through. Aaron, Gabby's husband and Cameron's father, was getting ready to leave the house. As soon as Cameron realized what was happening, he completely unraveled. He didn't just fuss. He cried uncontrollably. He screamed. His little body shook with panic, and he clung to Aaron like his life depended on it. This wasn't about missing Dad for a few hours. This was fear, desperation, a meltdown filled with emotion that a 4-year-old shouldn't have to carry. And Gabby, she didn't move toward her son. She didn't kneel down to comfort him. She didn't offer a hug or even a gentle word. Instead, she stood back, cold, closed off, visibly annoyed. Her face showed pure irritation, as if Cameron's breakdown was just another inconvenience in her day. There was no nurturing, no soothing words, no, "It's okay, baby, mommy's here." Just silence, or worse, frustration. For any child that young, especially one possibly dealing with emotional challenges, those kinds of reactions are raw and real. Kids don't fake that kind of fear. And when a child cries that hard because one parent is leaving and they have been left with another, it's a massive red flag. That moment wasn't just a tantrum, it was truth. It showed how disconnected Cameron feels from Gabby. It revealed that whatever is happening off camera, he doesn't feel safe or comforted by her presence, and that should terrify anyone watching. The breakdown with her twin sister. Even Dani, her twin sister, finally broke her silence, and she didn't hold back. Dani posted an emotional video, visibly shaken and in tears, pleading with Gabby to seek real help. Gabby needed more than just a break from social media. She needed professional therapy, parenting classes, and a total life reset. Dani made it clear she could no longer sit by and enable the chaos. She couldn't be part of the dysfunction any longer. In the video, Dani looked broken. She said watching Cameron suffer while Gabby spun in circles on TikTok had become unbearable. It wasn't just about drama or sibling rivalry. It was about a child growing up in a home that wasn't safe, stable, or healthy. Dani said she loved her nephew, but until Gabby got real help, she couldn't keep standing beside her. Gabby didn't take it well. Instead of reflecting on her sister's words, she lashed out. She accused Dani of jealousy. She claimed Dani was only using her name to get attention online. Then she escalated things even further, threatening to sue her own twin. Gabby said Dani was defaming her, exploiting her pain for content, and leaking private messages to the public. She even claimed she warned their mom to get Dani a lawyer because she was ready to press charges. Gabby framed herself as the betrayed sister, the one under attack, completely ignoring the actual concerns Dani had raised. But in a surprising twist, just a few days later, Dani was spotted at Gabby's house again. She said she wasn't there for Gabby. She was only there to see Cameron. She made it clear that she didn't want to be recorded, didn't want to be on live, and had walked away from TikTok entirely. Gabby tried to pull her into the frame. She asked her to sing for the camera like they used to. She wanted the old drama twin vibe back, but Dani shut it down. She looked tired, detached, like someone who had finally seen enough. It was clear she hadn't come for clout or reconciliation. She had come for Cameron, and that alone speaks. So what do we take from all this? Gabby Jacobson says she's a good mom, but the facts tell a different story. Her son is neglected, unsupervised, exposed to inappropriate behavior, and used for internet sympathy. He's not getting the love and protection he deserves. He's getting ring lights and chaos. This story isn't about trolls or cancel culture. It's about a child, one who deserves better. Cameron doesn't need live streams. He needs a present parent. Justice for Cameron isn't just a trending tag. It's a cry for someone to finally step in and put this child's needs first. Because if his mother won't do it, someone has to.